What's some juicy gossip you just found out in your personal lives? My sister is pregnant with her third child, third guy. The first father, V, is awesome. He has custody of both their child and her second, no biological relationship to him. The second baby daddy has apparently been threatening my sister and V after learning of the third child and that V took her in. V and my sister still have a functional platonic relationship at this point, and due to fear of reproach from the second, and maybe the third, V has taken both kids, my pregnant sister, and his own so with him out of state to make sure there's no reproach from 2 or 3. V is one of my favorite humans. He treats the second child like his own, despite no longer being in a romantic relationship with my sister, since 2010. Dude is as good as they come, in my opinion. I'm a teacher, and apparently I don't pay attention to shit. Last year, my vice principal announced that he would be leaving at the end of the year. Let's call him Mr. Bob. I was shocked, as I liked and respected him a lot. It was well known that he was pretty unhappy, and it had been a tough year. I was confused though, because nobody else seemed shocked or upset. At the end of the year, I thought it would be nice to have everyone sign a card for him, but when I took it around people started giving me these weird looks. Fast forward to halfway through this year. One of our teachers showed up with a change of her last name. It was now Mrs. Bob. I congratulated her and said I didn't even know she was seeing anyone, to which she laughed and said you're so bad. I was confused and shook it off. Long story short, I just recently found out that she and Mr. Bob had fallen in love or something and he left his wife for her. He literally divorced his wife on a Thursday and was married by Friday. I had no idea until she mentioned his first name and that they were moving out of the state. Looking back on it, I face-palmed so much. His wife at the time also worked for the district and at one point I ran into her and expressed how much I would miss working with Mr. Bob. She gave me a weird look and said, yeah, well apparently he's been pretty miserable. To which my dumbass responded, well let's hope he finds what he's looking for. I assumed it was all about his job satisfaction. I'm such an asshole. My work requires everyone in our group of security clearance. It's boring work and the most basic of clearances. Wednesday a co-worker's desk was completely cleaned out. We were told she lost her clearance and was fired. Weird. Her BFF spilled the beans later. Turns out Sharon had met a man online and they were madly in love. And she cashed out her 401k, her life savings and a second mortgage to send to him. She's 67. To no one's surprise he's not a real person and it was all a scam. He claimed he was royalty from Nigeria. Work found out when she started borrowing money from co-workers and it made its way to our boss. It's very sad but still, WTF she was around when the whole Nigerian email scam was around. She should have known better. ETA, Grandma. When an ex and I broke up a little over 4 years ago, it was bad. We were both getting clean and on methadone. The things that were said. November of 17, ex asked a mutual friend if he and his girlfriend could come stay with me since they were homeless. I'm an idiot, I can't say no. I was homeless for 10 or so years, so I know how bad it can be. When I kicked them out, they had stolen so much from me. I didn't have a lot to begin with. The bitch even stole a bunch of my underwear. I literally just found out about an hour ago that she is in jail for possession. Got caught with 40 ounces of liquid heroin. Karma baby, karma. Edit thank you for my first platinum stranger. A year ago my family member, 26, discovered that his fiancée, 29, of 7 years, who he has 2 children with had been having an affair with his younger brother, who just turned 18. His brother was living in his house rent-free at the time as well. So his fiancée left him for his brother and had a fling with him for a couple months. The younger brother is basically homeless now, jumping from friend to crash at their houses, while working at a job that he makes minimum wage at, $7.25, while she is still living under her ex-fiancé's roof. She then decided she wanted to work things out with her ex-fiancé, so they got back together and decided to reconcile the relationship, which left the younger brother furious. Shortly after that, she finds out she is pregnant but does not know which brother is the father. Her fiancé said he would raise the baby as his own even if it was not his. So she decides to keep the baby. This makes the younger brother more furious because she aborted the child before this baby that she knew was the younger brother's. So the younger brother verbally attacks her for aborting that child and keeping this one because there is a chance it is her fiancé's. She is unemployed during this time, so her fiancé is paying for all of the expenses. 9 months later, still unemployed. She has the baby and it ends up being the younger brother's child, and they all try to do co-parenting. The baby is 3 months old now, and my family member's fiancé left him for his younger brother again. Edit, thanks for the silver and gold. Edit, I edited the fiancé and fiancée as I had in the initial post and added spaces to break up the whole post. Thank you. My stepbrother started dating this girl a short while ago. They were invited to my wedding, but then his dad basically uninvited him to the wedding because it turns out the girl is a prostitute and my stepbrother will bring her to clients. So he is kind of in pimp territory. Also, she makes porn movies, and she's pregnant, and we assume it is my stepbrother's baby. My family is quite normal otherwise. This is like mega gossip for my family. Edit a few things. 1. I am not comfortable giving out her porn name, but she is in the BBW category. 2. As far as him being a pimp, she was doing this before they met. He is still technically a pimp, doing deliveries and such, but this isn't some human trafficking thing, according to the information I have. 3. They found out by someone on my stepdad's side of the family stumbling onto her porn online. My stepbrother is in a few of the videos. Edit 2. The reason my mother was also pissed was because she got them a hotel room for the night before the wedding, and the location change for that date was noted on her calendar. Basically, my mom was worried the police would think she was a pimp if my stepbrother and his GF got in trouble with the police, considering she paid for the room on her credit card. My grandmother told me a couple months ago that around the time of her divorce from my biological grandfather, another lady in their small town had a baby. When grandma finally saw the baby, after friends suspiciously tried to keep her from seeing it, it looked exactly like her soon-to-be ex-husband. I was the first person to be told about this. My mom now knows, but my aunts and uncles have no idea they have another half-sister running around somewhere. Edit, my highest upvoted comment is now about my cheating biological grandfather. Cool. For those that have suggested trying to find her, my brother took a DNA ancestry test last year. I'll ask him about the family tree part and what he found. Regarding telling the other family members, it's certainly not my place. The problem is that biological grandpa, who will be BG from now on, was a piece of shit. He was abusive, drank himself to death, and abandoned my mom. The other relatives want to just move on. He isn't talked about anymore. Grandma is trying to respect that, especially my uncle, who didn't speak to her for a long while because he felt like she wasn't just trying to turn the family against BG. If they accidentally find out through a DNA test, it truthfully would probably be less drama that way. Last note, the reason baby was easily identifiable aside from suspicious behavior was largely due to BG being a redhead. There weren't too many in town, apparently. Friend, who I'll call Joe, is 12 years older than his girlfriend, who I'll call Jessica. They met when she was 18 and he was dating someone else, we'll call her Mary. He cheated on Mary with Jessica. Mary went psycho, they broke up and he and the Jessica got into a relationship. The next few years, she'd sneak out of college to meet him. Her family didn't like him because he was so much older and thought he was only in it for her money. Somehow they made it for 9 years. A year ago, he said in some social media post that he was single. 2 months later, he announced his engagement with the young woman. Talking to friends with more familiarity of the situation, it turned out Jessica had to put up with a lot. Mary continued to be psycho and harassed her lot. This was because she was 34 and was planning on having kids with Joe before he cheated on her, and so she considers Jessica her life ruiner. And Joe apparently cheated on Jessica as well, triggering mental health issues in her. After a psychotic episode, they broke up. But then he wanted to settle down and have kids, so he proposed to Jessica, and she accepted. Now they are planning a big-ass wedding. I can't wait for the shit show it's going to be. One November day, my mom took my sister and I put so we could help her pick out gifts for our kids. I asked why a cousin of ours who adored children never had any of her own. This led my mom into a deep trail of juicy family stories. The most unexpected was about my grandma. Apparently, a married man had pursued her, and they started a short affair that left her pregnant. She was the teenaged daughter of devout Catholic, immigrant parents, and they essentially hid her in the basement the entire 9 months and forced her to give away the baby. They also threatened the dad with the mob to get him to stay quiet and pay for medical care. My grandma lived most of her life depressed over what came of that child. My mom took an ancestry DNA test about a year ago and found the woman. She had been adopted by loving parents who have since died. She's started coming to our family events, and my grandparents are more than pleased to have her in their lives. My grandpa has called her his daughter on multiple occasions. Also, both of my sisters have cheated on their husbands with guys they met at the gym. My husband is only very stressed by this trend. Editing to add, don't worry, y'all. I run for exercise, and I mainly use it for alone time. And to eat more pizza.